Hi everyone and welcome to what is basically a quick update video. In this I'm going to be sort of outlining my plan for the remainder of this season 2020 to 2021 and for basically the entirety of 2021 to 2022 based on the current roadmap set out by the government a few weeks ago. So if you follow me on Twitter, you may be familiar with something that looks a bit like this that I set out a few weeks ago. Basically, then it was all a bit up in the air. There was not it wasn't sort of particularly clear, but now that I have a bit more clarity, I can sort of make this video and talk about sort of everything on here. I'll start with the remainder of this season before moving on to my plan for next season. So yesterday, the FA and the DCMS set out their guidance on the return of grassroots and non-elite football, etc. So with what they've said, my season can resume on week commencing Monday the 12th of April. I know grassroots can restart from next week, but I mean, I know that a lot of these clubs are playing on public recreational pitches, but to be honest, I'm not sure I'm really willing to take the chance with it, to be honest, because let's face it, you don't know who's going to be there, and I don't want to get myself, or maybe even more importantly, any particular club in trouble, so I'm just going to leave it until we commence on the 12th, then I'll carry on from there. Thanks to one of the grassroots leagues in Yorkshire, my season can run right up until the end of June. I'm expecting it to finish on Saturday the 26th of June. I've got a game lined up for that day. As a big rugby league fan as well, it sort of ties in quite well because it means I can go to the Featherstone Rovers against Newcastle Thunder that evening. So yeah, that's that. I know that it's on 17th of May at the earliest. All stadia is going to be reopening at a limited capacity, and with that in mind, should a Northern League team reach the FA Vars final on Saturday the 22nd of May, I'm going to attempt to get a ticket for that. But if not, all my options, I've got my options are open, and that, I know obviously because the National League's not finishing until 29th of May, I'm going to attempt to get to a few games in that league. Obviously, Notts County's on my current full bucket list, so I'm hoping I can maybe get to one of their games. I know it might be a bit difficult because of obviously one of the better supported teams in the National League, but it's still worth a try. I've still got quite a big stadium in that, and by the end of it all, I'm hoping I can maybe finish in the region of sort of between 60 to 75 games. I think essentially having 2.5 months gives me enough time to get to those sorts of numbers. And I'm currently on 41 at the minute. But what I will say is I'm probably not going to put as much emphasis on the rest of this season because obviously because I feel as though it's just a lot more worth it if I can just save up some money and just really go all out next season. And with that in mind, I will now move on to next season. So yeah, unlike in all the times where I'd maybe get to maybe be a 3 to 4 week gap between one season finishing and the next one starting, there's literally just going to be a week this time. So I'm going to be commencing on the weekend of Saturday the 3rd of July. Obviously by then there'll be various pre-season friendlies and so on, and fingers crossed it can run as a completely normal season. I know on the 21st of June that's when they're hoping that all COVID restrictions can be lifted. So fingers crossed that actually does get the go ahead. In terms of next season, how long next season will last, I'm going to be finishing either the first or second weekend in June, I reckon. I know in 2022 I'm going to be going on a holiday at some point abroad, but I've done it. But at the minute it's looking like that could be in August, which will obviously eat a little bit into the start of 2022 to 23. But there's just a slight chance that it could be in June, so which could affect it. But as it stands, that's not going to be the case, and I'll be able to finish. I'll be able to finish around then in June. Maybe sort of finish on high, might book a little trip somewhere into Europe or somewhere, depending on what's on in terms of leagues that run through the summer and internationals, etc. It'll be my usual rota that I had before COVID times, where if Gateshead are playing, that's who I'll be watching, regardless of whether it's home or away, who it's against. If Gateshead are playing, I'll be there. I really want that 100% attendance record. I was on to get it last season, but obviously when COVID came in and stopped the season, that all came to a grinding halt. So I would really like to put that right. In terms of when Gateshead aren't playing, if Motherwell have a home game on a day when Gateshead are not playing, then I'll be making my way up to Fair Park. The rest of the time we'll be still using for ground hopping, sort of neutral games, etc. I'm hoping to get to a minimum of 150 games for next season. I think that's a realistic enough target. Considering the 2017-18 season, I got to 152. In the season after, I got to 166. So I think it's definitely within the means of possibility. And the next subject I'm going to talk about is pre-known blank Saturdays. By that I mean when Gateshead have no game at all. Like, this could be because like, for example, our scheduled opponents are playing in the FA Trophy or something, or as we once had before a game against Hereford once, they've got players selected for some of the Caribbean islands and Gibraltar or whatever. So that's a pre-known blank Saturdays when Gateshead are not playing, and Motherwell are either not playing at all or having a away game, which I'm not too fussy about going to. It's basically I've done all but Ross County in the Scottish Premiership, so yeah, a lot of them it just feels a bit tedious, going all that way and so on. So yeah, and so on these blank Saturdays, I will I definitely will be ticking off a ground, and as well as this, if there is enough notice, like say a minimum of 10 days or so, I'll maybe even consider maybe an overseas trip, depending on the circumstances, what I could find on the Skyscanner app and so on. And speaking of overseas, there will be a trip to Germany at some point. Which region I go to depends entirely on the fixtures at the time of trip. This could be, obviously, as I've mentioned, on one of my blank Saturdays, or it could be back end of the season after Gateshead have finished. But I'm determined to get back out there. I absolutely loved it when I went there in 2017. I went to Mönchengladbach and to Dusseldorf. It will be somewhere different this time. It might be somewhere else in North Rhine-Westphalia. You've got Cologne, Schalke, Dortmund, Leverkusen, all in that part of the country. But then again, it could be in Berlin, could be in the north in Hamburg, somewhere near Munich, somewhere near Frankfurt. So there's lots of options there. As well as this, I aim to get to the San Siro. Obviously, it's on a limited lifespan at the minute. You know, there's a lot of talk of it being demolished and stuff like that to make way for a newer stadium. So my number one on my bucket list is to get there before it gets knocked down. What's this all mean for the channel? Well, in terms of like sort of general non-league football, it won't really mean anything at all. You know, it'll still be the same recording format, etc. You know, the EFL and the Premier League will be a bit more complex, you know, because we've got like the filming rules are a lot stricter. But to be fair, so with us it might just be, you know, me just capturing the atmosphere instead of sort of the game itself, you know, sort of filming the fans' reactions to it all. But to be fair, if it's like a game like, if it's a game like Man United against Leeds or something like that, like people will have known what happened anyway, because what you watch on telly or watch the highlights on Match of the Day. So why not just sort of capture the fan reaction instead, you know, sort of make those ones more about my personal day at the game than the matches themselves. I'm expecting before long to be able to do sort of 2 games in one day. Those ones will all be one video, because the maximum recording time I'm allowed for these is 15 minutes. So and to be honest, most of them like barely even cross 7 minutes, to be honest. So I've got plenty of sort of room for manoeuvre and things like that. So they'll all be in one big video. Yeah, and it's just, so there's plenty to look forward to. You know, I really can't wait to go overseas and do some videos over there, and obviously doing all the Gateshead matches. You'll be able to hear me shouting and screaming like a complete idiot. And obviously I've done, it's been mainly neutral matches this year, but once all that's back, I really hope it can sort of accelerate sort of the progress the channel is making and stuff. That's that for this video. I'll be back on Saturday at some point with, I'm continuing the top 5 grounds by region series, and this time it is London. So I'm looking forward to releasing that. Take care, and I'll see you later.